I think we have some amazing marketers around the world. I mean, I think that the Nike Write the Future campaign was phenomenal last year. I think the Old Spice campaign was an incredible way to bring reality and humanity, I think, to a product that's essentially not so much generic, but something that it gave it a completely different slant. I think that the marketing work that Apple does is beautiful. So we have some amazing players in the space. What excites me about what's happening in marketing, I think, is the relative cost of experimentation, largely brought, I suppose, by the internet. In the past, I think putting an idea out in the world and giving it to consumers is something that was traditionally very expensive. I think that using technology, now are in a place that we've never been before, where we can actually experiment with different formats, different styles, different storylines, different content to see what works, and then when something really does take off, to put big budgets behind it. I think that that's a really exciting development. Well, I think that the interesting thing, I mean, particularly in a technological space, is in terms of building a brand, is understanding the user. And every brand has a user, and being able to understand how your customers, consumers, fans actually view your product. And to be able to do that, I think that given the technological space we're in, the gap between the people who are making the decisions at the companies who have the brand and the people actually executing the technology is really wide, and we need to bring that closer together. There's a really interesting statistic around the gap between CMOs and CEOs and people who understand APIs and the average age between that. And I think that being able to build a brand through technology, you need to bring decision makers and the technologists closer together. I think the insights for me in terms of understanding people who run marketing and then the end consumers is that everybody is a user. And that it doesn't matter whether you're the CMO of Toyota, whether you're Joe the plumber, whether you're my mum, everybody's a user. And we all know what frustrates us and what excites us when we're dealing with brands. And so I think being able to take that, understand the user and understand the magic of your product and being able to connect the two. I think it's huge. I think brands need to become much more personalised because I think the days of being in the ivory tower and being the kind of company that preaches are over. I think that we've never been in a position where consumers have the ability to have a real conversation with a brand, and not just a brand, but the people behind the brand. And so I think that brands that behave like people, they have flaws. They experiment, they try, some things work, some things don't. I think people really identify with that, and given the social space that's obviously on the rise and not going to change, I think we're in a position where all brands need to become more human. I wouldn't say that the consumer benefits from a brand who's more like a person per se, but I think that the relationship that a consumer has with a brand is augmented when that relationship is personal. At the end of the day, it comes down to whether a product's good or not. I mean, if a brand is pushing an inferior product, if a brand has a great personality, at the end of the day, the user's not going to be happy. But I think if you make great products, have a great brand, and the brand has a personality, that whole, I guess, ecosystem between the user and the brand is much more positive. I think Google's never been a conventional company. It's one of the things that Larry and Sergey spoke about in their founders letter, was that we're not a conventional company and we don't intend to be one. I think that's the attitude we have at marketing. We don't market in a traditional way. I think having the opportunity to try and look at marketing through a different lens is really exciting. Putting the user first the whole time and understanding the magic of our products and understanding what our users want and trying to connect that gap between them.